Good morning. My name is Mrs. Cook and welcome to Intro to Ed. I'm so glad you're here this spring. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to learn a lot about yourself as a future educator. We're going to learn about a lot about education in general, the history of education, the future of education, where education is right now, and we're going to be in a lot of case studies where you're going to get to know a lot about yourself with how you communicate with students, with other teachers, and written communication. So I'm glad you're here. I would like to kind of go over the overview of our course and the module. If you open up our Canva right now, you can see there's an introduction module, and you can just work your way through there. There is the Mind Tap module. That is where you will, step 1 is the quick guide video. Step 2 is your requirements check. Step 3 is activating your Cengage account. And then there's technical support if you need that there. So if you have any problems getting your textbook, I would start with the tech support. Make sure you run all 3 of those steps, and then you should be good to go to access your textbook. The introduction module has kind of our course orientation, not exactly a formal syllabus, but just a run through of what each week will look like and what the course as a whole will look like. I have my about the instructor, my intro there, and then here is another link to the textbook. So a little bit about myself. I kind of talked to you about this in the introduction. I am a teacher at Buckland. I was a first grade teacher in Dodge City for 8 years, and I was a kindergarten teacher for 7 years, and then the rest of the years have been doing Title I federal programs, reading specialist. I enjoy literacy. I love teaching kids how to read. I love doing interventions with students, struggling students. I have a passion for working with dyslexia students. My undergrad is obviously in elementary education. I have a master's in building leadership, I have a master's in reading specialist, and I have an endorsement in building leadership. I love all things education, so I'm glad that I get to hopefully motivate you to become a future educator and shape the lives of children and just have as much fun as I've had in my career. So if you ever have any questions about education in general or any, we'll kind of go through some careers that you could use with your education degree. If you are more interested in more things besides just teaching, maybe if you want to look into a library science, if you want to look into a specific teacher like a science teacher or a math teacher, if you want to be a reading specialist, a speech pathologist, we'll kind of go through a lot of the different jobs within education and how to go that route once you get your elementary education degree or your secondary education degree. So module 1 starts with our first chapter. So the modules and the chapters will always be in correspondence. So module 2 will be chapter 2, module 3 will be chapter 3, and so on. So every week you will have the same setup. I think that works the best. Consistency in my life is great, and I'm hoping that you'll appreciate the consistency within this class also. This week we actually have one less thing to do than normal, just because I want to get you acclimated to Canva and Cengage, and so we'll kind of start a little bit softer than the next week. But week 1, the very beginning of the week, there will always be announcements, and this just kind of tells you what we will do this week. So we will read chapter 1, we will do a chapter 1 scenario, and then you will do a chapter 1 quiz, and it's all due by Sunday, okay? If you ever have, I'm very lenient as far as due dates, but I'm very strict if you don't let me know. So if you have something come up and you got really sick or somebody's hospitalized and you need extra time, just go ahead and shoot me an email before it's due. Otherwise, everything is due the day that it is posted. All of my assignments are due for the week on Sunday by midnight, so you have most of the week to get that done. I will upload the new module on Monday, and then I will do my class lecture video on Tuesday morning. So if you kind of get in the swing of things where my advice for you would be to kind of run through the announcements, look over what you're expected to do for the week on Mondays, then you'll watch the video on Tuesdays, and then you can get started Wednesday even Tuesday and Wednesday, you could read the chapter. Thursday, you could do the scenario. And Friday, you could do the quiz. And then everything's 2 days early. So that's just kind of how I would space it out. I love education. So I might stick some little golden nuggets in here for you. This is Rita Pierson. It is a YouTube link to her TED Talk. If you have been interested in education for any time, you have probably already seen this. Everyone Needs a Champion is the title. It's an amazing video. It really speaks to your heart if you truly have education and children in your passion. And she is a longtime educator, 20, 30 some years, and she really talks about the social emotional need of teachers and how every student deserves someone to believe in them. And it's just a very powerful video. So I'm going to start this class off with that. I would love for you to watch that. Obviously, you're not going to be graded on it, but I would really love for everybody to watch this video. Okay. Then we have to go back to our modules. After the announcements will be the overview. It has like our standards and our task standards. So this chapter 1 is connected to your Cengage textbook, and you can just open it up straight from there. It's all online. It's an online textbook. And then you'll have a scenario, and then you'll have a quiz. So you will need to read the chapter before you do the scenario and before you do the quiz. So once you open the chapter, you will load it, and it will have the table of contents, just like a normal textbook. And it'll just kind of give you an overview of what's going to be covered. So we are going to start. A lot of times I will not go through the whole entire textbook, the whole entire reading, because I trust that you can read on your own and that you can highlight the important parts and go from there and just pick out what needs to be, using this chapter introduction, you can kind of tell what's the important parts and what's not. But sometimes I will go through them, the chapter in a very short manner. If you have any questions, anything that you didn't understand, then obviously you can just email me and we can go forth with that. We can have a video chat, or we can just email back and forth. But you will be responsible for reading the chapter on your own. Okay, so Chapter 1 talks about your motives for teaching, and there's a lot of motives for teaching that speak to you personally. So the extrinsic, let's start with the extrinsic rewards. The awards on the outside, obviously salary. It's kind of been a long-standing joke that teachers don't make any money. We don't do it for the money. We obviously do it for the kids. While that's all fine and dandy, teachers make a livable salary. Okay, so it's a pretty prominent job as far as when you're talking about other professionals like doctors, lawyers, dentists, accountants. Yeah, we don't make as much as them, but you can make a pretty good living with a teacher's salary. So a lot of times the schools around me right now, their base pay is low 40s to upper 40s. So if you go and you have more education and you have a master's degree, or you continue taking classes, you can get anywhere from 50, 60, 65,000 without being an administrator. So it's completely doable. To me, I'm offended by the comments of teachers don't make anything, because I'm proud of what I'm able to give to my family because I am a teacher. So the salary, the benefits, the status, the power, the respect that you get from the outside community, the work schedule. It's also been a long-standing joke of teachers do it for, why do you teach June, July, and August? That's been a long time meme and joke for a long time. But in all honesty, if you are a working mom or dad, the schedule works really well if you have children, so you can spend time with them on the weekends, you can spend time with them during the breaks, you can spend time with them during the summer. Teachers never really have the whole summer off because there's always professional development, there's always in-service, there's always something working in your classroom, continuing your education somehow, but for the most part, it's a very good schedule, and it works well with children's schedule. The intrinsic rewards, which is what I think a lot of teachers have when they think of why they wanted to become a teacher, it was because of the students, it was because of a teacher that they had in the past, someone that inspired them, their love for math or for reading or for art, or their love just for learning in general. Providing a social service, stimulating support from your colleagues, and just that internal feeling of I'm really making a difference. I'm really doing the best I can to help our community, our state, our world become a better place. Then 1.3 goes into sources for useful experiences in education. And when I was doing my undergrad, I did a full semester of student teaching, and that was the most powerful thing that I had done throughout my whole entire college experience. So the real world encounter that I had becoming a team teacher, I observed for maybe 2 or 3 weeks and then just got my foot in the door and took over math, and then I took over reading, and then I took over social studies, and then science, and then I had all of it. The cooperating teacher was in there the whole time, so we were always collaborating, always working together and building that relationship of she was a mentor to me. So the real encounters that you get, the experiences from learning from mentor teachers, the book also, guidance would be a mentor. Reflection, we're going to do a lot of reflection through this coursework. You're going to go into a classroom, observe, and then make a reflection. You're going to do a scenario, watch a video, think about the scenario, what would you do? And then you're going to reflect. Was that a good thing? Was that a bad thing? What could be the positives? What can be the negatives of the outcome of my decision? There's going to be case studies within the chapter at all times. They are important to read. They kind of make you think. This one is case studies about motivation to teach. So it's about, there's 2 different case studies, and they're teachers going through the experiences. It's a narrative of their experiences, and then there's pause and reflect questions. So I also suggest that you go through those case studies, case study 1 and case study 2, and just kind of give you some real world experiences to think about without actually being able to be in the classroom. Opinions about teachers and teaching. The public will say a lot about you as a teacher. They will say a lot about you if you are the best teacher in the world. They will say a lot about you if you're the worst teacher in the world. So, but for the most part, there's a graph in 1.5a, what does the public say about teachers? And it's very powerful. Let me just click on it and show you. Okay, so in 2011, the index asked teens who contributed most to our society's well-being. So asking a group of teens who shapes the community, the society, who has the most contribution and influence. And they dominantly said teachers, doctors, scientists, military, engineer, politicians, and others. So this is obvious that the community sees you as important, students see you as important, you are an important part of the contributions that are happening in the society around you and the society world known. So teachers are well thought of and are respected. It talks about what admin thinks about new teachers, how new teachers perceive themselves as new teachers, and kind of going through those feelings, because you are going to be a new teacher at some point, hopefully, and you're going to have those frustrations, and you're going to have those conversations with your peers and your administration, and you will need to use your pause and reflect skills on reflecting on your first year, reflecting on our mentor program right now has us reflecting quarterly as a mentor and as a mentee. How are things going? Are you pacing on the right track? Are you going to get through your whole curriculum? Or are you still on chapter 1 and there's no way you're going to get through it all? Is your classroom management okay? Is your communication that you're sending home to parents okay? And so that pause and reflect skill is very important for new teachers, but also for veteran teachers. 1.6 is why teachers teach, and talking about those intrinsic and extrinsic rewards again. And there's also some graphs. Is teaching satisfying? How important do you feel that your job has on each of the following characteristics? And so it asks, like, giving you enough time with your family. Do you feel like a contributor to the society? Do you feel that you provide supervision and support? Do you feel like you have good job security? Do you feel like it pays well? Those kinds of things. So it's always interesting for me to analyze those tables and think about how other people perceive other educators perceive education. So with that being said, that's kind of an overview, quick overview, obviously, of the chapter. We're 16 minutes into this video, so I don't want to make them too long. I will try to keep them between 10 and 20 minutes. Sometimes I get very passionate about a chapter, especially when we get to the literacy chapter and the intervention chapter. I can just talk forever about that. So I'm going to try to limit my time so you guys have time to read your chapter and go through that and then get what you need done for that. So going back to our module, after you read chapter 1, you're going to click on the scenario. It will load it here for you. Maybe. Yours will look a little bit different because I have the grading portion of it, so I guess you can see the back side of Cengage. It will load you a scenario. You will either read the scenario or watch the scenario. Usually it's a video. Oh yeah, so I have the grading part of it. So you will not have anything that looks like that. You will have either a video or a narrative of the scenario, and then you will answer it. Like I said, you will answer it how you feel, what you would do, and what you think. And then the second question is your reflection of your response. So you're always reflecting yourself. So there's 2 questions on those scenarios. And then you will have your quiz. The quizzes right now are the check my answer is allowed. So you can go back and change it. So everybody should get 100% on your quizzes from now, like starting now. I am an elementary teacher and I probably have too much grace when teaching a college class, but I like to give you a couple weeks to get your feet under you and understand how the questions are worded and how the author, because I don't love how these questions are all written, but I think it's important to, when you take a praxis test or when you take tests in other courses, it's important that you learn how to take the test. So I'm going to leave the check my work on for the first 3 or 4 weeks and see how everybody's doing, and then I'll take that off, and then your score is how it is. So I expect everybody to get 100% on the first 4 quizzes, and then just really take advantage of that check my work and think about why you missed that and where it was in the chapter, how it was worded in the chapter, in the text, how it was worded on the quiz, and go from there. So with that being said, if you have any questions on chapter 1 or this course in general, please email me. Let me know. My information is all in Canva. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you are excited and determined to be a first-year teacher soon, and I can't wait for you to follow you through this journey and hopefully motivate you and just really excite you to get ready for your future. Thank you and have a wonderful week.